Danny screwing around with little Italy. Just a little piece of advice. You don't want to be doing that. You know what I mean? Oh, man. He steps in it and then he steps in it again. Don't care. Good. Happy to hear it. What else? IVF couple is devastated by a sperm mix-up after depriving child of biological and birth mothers. This is a mess. This whole IVF thing is a mess. We'll tell you the story. It's not a good one. And finally, the love of nature. Yeah, the love of nature. It's an amazing story, and we have that and video for you coming up. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Just so you know, it's Friday. Yes, Friday's here. We love it. Last day of the work week before we head on into the weekend. And we got a lot going on in the program this morning. Thank you for popping by. We're live on YouTube and on Rumble. On Rumble, it's the follow button down there, somewhere over here. It's a little oval, says follow. Click that, and it's free. On Rumble, on YouTube, it's the subscribe button. I know, subscribe sounds like you have to pay for a subscription. It's not. It's free. And that is over there again somewhere. It says subscribe. Hit that button. If you want to be notified when we're live, you can hit the notification bell also. And just do that. We don't have a marketing budget here on this show. We really don't at all. And so the little things you can do to help us out if you enjoy our content is to hit the subscribe or follow button, share the show, give it a like, a thumbs up. All those little things are free for you, but they really help the show out a lot. And thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. Let's jump in, huh? Good old New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani getting heat, and well-deserved heat, from the Italian Americans after his administration's Immigrant Enclaves map. It's a map of all the immigrant communities in New York City, and it highlighted dozens of ethnic neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs and completely ignored Little Italy. For how many decades now has Little Italy been such an interwoven part of New York City and New York City life? It is one of the city's most historic, recognizable migrant communities. It is a rich, colorful, flavorful group that is just amazing. There's so many words to describe it. Amazing is the best one I can come up with right now. The Italian American Civil Rights League are kind of pissed off. They slammed the omission as blatant cultural erasure. They say this map finds room for pet progressive causes, but no space for the Italian immigrants who really helped build what is now modern New York. Come on. This group, the Italian American Civil Rights League, dismissed any notion that this was just some kind of stupid, oh, I forgot. You don't just forget the Italian community, all right? Cultural erasure, says Mike Crispy, president of the group. Little Italy is sacred ground. It is where Italian immigrants came with nothing, nada, worked like hell, opened shops, raised families, built churches, fed the city, and made New York what it is today, at least until this scumball got his hands on it. Little Italy. No. Little Palestine. little Pakistan, little Yemen, and no little Italy. Hmm. Italian immigrants did indeed help build New York. Generations of hard work, family businesses, neighborhood traditions. Somehow, mayor's office just completely turned a blind eye, completely ignored all that. Mamdani City Hall can find room for every fashionable progressive constituency, but somehow it just can't seem to find Little Italy. Culture's good enough for their photo ops, food good enough for their fundraisers, neighborhoods good enough for tourism dollars. When it comes time to recognize Italian Americans, sorry, they erase them. The league has urged Mandani to fix the map immediately and issue a public apology to Italian Americans to ensure that Little Italy, along with the long-standing Italian American enclaves, gets properly recognized in any official city efforts that celebrate immigrant history. Italian Americans built New York City, not third world Ugandans. Honestly, I think they should take the map and where Gracie Mansion is, put a little flag, call it Little Commie. Yeah. This absolutely fits Mamdani's pattern, by the way. Progressive disdain, European legal immigrant heritage. You know, the statue of Christopher Columbus in New York City is going to be a target somewhere down the line. I promise you that. You remember back in June of 2020, Mamdani made his feelings very clear. He posted a photo of himself flipping off the Columbus statue. You think I'm kidding? Well, it just so happens I have that picture right here. That's Mamdani. Zoran Kwame Mamdani. Very nice. That's very nice there, Zoran. Unbelievable. City Hall spokesperson, of course, defended the map, saying it was created as a guide to help tourists experience some of the city's vibrant cultures, not as an exhaustive catalog of every community. How about this idea? One map with one flag, and that would be the American flag. Problem solved. Good portion of the population in New York City, of course, is illegal, has absolutely no interest in assimilating. And that is exactly the kind of diversity that this Mamdani admin is apparently trying to celebrate. But you pissed off the wrong Italians. This ain't gonna go away quietly. Not by a long shot. And speaking of illegals, how about this? Yeah, Mexican president wants to take legal action against ICE for the death of an illegal alien. Yeah, good luck with that one. An ICE agent shot and killed a Mexican illegal alien, Lorenzo Segaldo Araujo, in Houston on Tuesday of this week. The officer did not fire at him because he was here illegally, though he allegedly used force because the suspect rammed the law enforcement officer's vehicle with his own vehicle and then tried to run him over. Araujo's family sees it differently, of course, noting the 52-year-old had lived here for decades. He was a father, had a successful construction gig, and may have panicked over the unmarked cars. He was an illegal alien, here for decades. Sorry, in all those decades, you couldn't have found the time to go through the process of becoming a legal immigrant? Never managed to do that, did you? Uh. Well, lefty Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum pondering taking legal action against ICE. That's not going to go well for her. She's failed to even mention the attempted murder in her speech. Instead, accuses the U.S. of bad behavior. Listen to this bullshit. We cannot allow the mistreatment of our brothers who are in the U.S., Sheinbaum said during a news conference. During her speech, she left out entirely the alleged attack on authorities by Salgado. His only fault was not having papers, even though he'd been hired by an American company. They don't have to be in detention centers for there to be any violence. Illegal immigrants who continue to die usually do so while making the very, very dangerous trek to our southern border. It's a trip that usually puts them at the mercy of absolutely violent cartels. It leaves women and girls the absolute targets of sexual violence, all while attempting to inflict violence also on law enforcement officers. No one is randomly shooting them for sport, okay? Absolute insanity. Mexican president suing the U.S. because ICE took out a Mexican illegal alien who tried to run over an agent like a goddamn bowling pin. This lady's out here crying, "We can't allow the mistreatment of our fellow Mexicans," while her own country is basically a cartel playground and she's cheering on the invasion of America. She is 110% cartel owned and operated, straight up enabling the border chaos. Criminals continue, and if they threaten with deadly force actions against our agents or any law enforcement officer, you can bet you're going to get your ass shot. Hopefully, shot enough times they run out of bullets. Like Sheriff Judd says. Tell you what, how about this, Scheinbaum? You work on your cleaning up your crap country first, okay? Then you worry about ours. How about that? That sounds like a plan. Here's somebody who went through the process, got a green card, and now they're going back home and they don't want to. I love this. I love this story. A Kuwaiti green card holder. This guy's public hatred for the U.S. and his support for Hamas just got him a one-way plane ticket right back home. State Department just removed the green card status of Kuwaiti guy who shared hate-filled rhetoric against the U.S., our ally Israel, white people in general, social media posts, news articles over the years, and he's going to get a fast ticket home on a plane. Goodbye. And we're taking your green card. Secretary Rubio sending this guy home. He entered the U.S. on a student visa, later got a green card. Tariq al Hukdari denigrated the U.S. support, expressed support for terrorists. Now, look, when I first read this up until this moment in the story, I thought, you know what? No, this is not right. We have free speech in this country. Much as I completely hate what this ass is doing and disagree with it wholeheartedly, he has a right to express these things. And then I got to this line. He also wished harm on the president. Sorry, pal. Now you've crossed the line. That ain't free speech. In his posts, one of them, he continued hateful words against Americans, our way of life, claims of genocide, colonization, blah, blah, blah. Praise for the Hamas terrorists for the October 7th attack. Another one, he speaks positively of Al-Aqsa flood, which was the code name given by Hamas for their bloody terror attacks and rapes and murders. And then he has actually, yes, wished death on President Trump. All that other crap, you got every right as an American, green card or not, of free speech, First Amendment, not a problem. But like I said, here's where you cross the line. He posted a photo of Netanyahu and Trump saying, "Hope whatever the other carries is contagious, and they both perish from a comet striking them just before they blah, blah, whatever, who cares? They take their final breaths." Very nice. Very nice. So, pal, no more green card for you, and your fat ass is on a big plane headed back to your home country where you belong. Bye bye. I love it. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, yeah. That's black. Are you sure that's blackout coffee? Yep, that's blackout coffee. Absolutely the best coffee on the planet. Oh man, I'm telling you, it is an amazing American company, all done in house, specialty, premium grade green beans, graded at 80 points or above on a now 100-point scale. Specialty coffees grown at the perfect altitude, the right time of year, the best soil, harvested at just the right time, also, of course. And then you have their small batch roasting process. They only roast your beans after you place your order. Yep. Then within 24 to 48 hours, they ship them out. It means you get the beans just days after they've been roasted. Premium coffee beans, highly controlled roasting process, and immediate shipping means you get the best coffee on the planet. Now, look, use the link in our show notes, our description down below. And by the way, if you don't have the ability to grind your own beans, no problemo, mi amigo, because in most of their most popular roasts, you can order them already ground for you. Oh, yeah, there's a little pull down menu there. You'll see it. Now, use the code J20, JAY20 at checkout if you're a first time customer. You'll get yourself 20% off, absolutely off your first order. Flavored coffees, cold brew, you name it, coffee pods they do, instant coffees. Blackout coffee is just simply the best. Look, I know there are a lot of coffee companies out there. Try a single bag. Give it a shot. You'll be back for more because it's just that good. Use that link in our description down below and head over to Blackout Coffee and find out what the whole country's yelling about. That's good coffee, and that would be Blackout coffee. Marilyn, good morning. Be blessed. Praise the Lord, indeed. All right, what do we got? Oh, well, the Democrats have discovered Trump's latest crime against humanity. You ready? Home maintenance. Yeah. Visitors from all over the world, especially during this, our anniversary, and of course the World Cup, have all been descending on Washington, D.C. in the last few weeks, enjoying the nation's capital in the summertime, treated to something the federal city had not offered in a very long while, and that would be clean parks, tidy landscape, working fountains, the fountains especially. Very welcome sight for a lot of people as temperatures soared past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The DMV didn't host any matches, but plenty of World Cup revelers and Americans wanting to take part in our 250th birthday festivities. They were able to enjoy the efforts of Trump to beautify the town. Well, now that the post America 250 crowds are thinning out, families making their way back homes, the sounds of the lefty rage machine are once again growing louder and louder. Here we freaking go. This time, they're big mad over the repairs being done to the pillars of the White House North Portico. A PBS reporter, so right away you know where she's coming from, Liz Landers, posted a video of the scaffoldings surrounding the pillars, which were put up so they could do the work on it. And she said, that's a lot of scaffolding that's gone up in front of the White House recently. A few moments ago, workers dropped a semi-transparent covering over the side closest to the West Wing. Now, the subtext behind her words here, of course, that Trump apparently had the nerve to start yet another improvement project without the express written consent of the left. Luckily, Karen Miller, wife of White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, had just interviewed Interior Secretary Doug Burgum on her podcast. Burgum, who possibly had the common sense to figure out that it might become an issue to those who stand, against pretty pillars? Anyway, he preemptively explained exactly what was going on with the pillars at the White House.
At the White House, you see the scaffolding on the North Portico right now. You know, President Trump comes out to greet a world leader. He sees door dings in the pillars and says, look at all this stuff, it needs to be repaired.
Is that what you're doing, fixing the dings in the pillars?
Yeah, everything. I mean, it's all historic renovation work. I mean, they're trained on restoring the plaster and not just at the door level, all the way up to the crowns of those towers. So it is,
Why has no one ever done that for such a historic building like the White House? The fact that it's been allowed to fall into disrepair in the first place.
Yeah, well, it is, President Trump is the one that, like I said, has the attention to detail and the understanding to get it done. But
so how does that work? President Trump sees the dings. He calls who? Calls you?
Yes.
And says, Doug, there's dings in my pillars.
Yes. And so, then sometimes we'll do a walk around and he'll point out what he wants to get done, and then we've got people from the National Park System wearing their uniforms that are trained in historic renovation, and those folks that do the work are so pumped and so excited about the president because they finally have someone who is allowing them, supporting them, and appreciative, grateful for them because of the skill that they bring to the job.
There you go. A preemptive strike, if you will. Trump, understandably, wants a nice, clean, pristine White House for greeting world leaders. Scaffolding's a little mess, but that's what you got to do. If you're going to make an omelet, you're going to break a few eggs. I don't know if that exact analogy works, but you know what I mean. The new White House ballroom, by the way, Rose Garden patio, reflecting pool, Kennedy Center facade, removal of the homeless camps, triumphal arch, all nice. And every single one of these, the left in turn has protested. Which leaves one thing, if nothing else, very, very clear to the rest of us who don't have Trump derangement syndrome. They want to be the ugly on the outside people because it matches how they feel on the inside. I mean, come on. Unfortunately for them, Trump and a whole lot of others of us, including me, don't give a fat rat's ass about your feelings. Get over it, babe. Oh, they'll hate me calling them babe. Ah, man. Wow. This is scary. A woman from Texas who has been horribly disfigured is going to be allowed to sue her therapist for transgender medical fraud. Patients who have been harmed by the atrocities of transgender medicine may not experience the full effect for years, especially those who got coerced into this treatment as minors. But a landmark ruling just came down in Texas, which will allow a detransitioner's lawsuit against her former therapist to move forward. This is good news. It overturns a statute of limitations defense that would have shielded the provider who signed off on a double mastectomy for a teenager. A teenager. You got no right, mom and dad. Can't even call you mom and dad. Soren Aldico, struggling minor, transgender procedure provided offered her opposite sex hormones, and then when she was 19, surgeons removed both her breasts upon recommendation of her then therapist, Barbara Wood. At the time, Aldico suffered from gender dysphoria, other mental illnesses, which Wood allegedly completely overlooked to secure Aldico a mutilating double mastectomy. The effects of the surgery, physically, mentally, brutal. She had excessive swelling, surgery drain sites, evasive behavior of the surgery's clinic staff took a toll. This drastic and completely irreversible disfigurement she suffered at the hands of those very people she entrusted with her healing led her to seek damages. She's also filed a lawsuit against Wood and her employer in 2023, alleging negligence and fraud. She had not counseled, Wood not counseled Aldico for gender dysphoria, as she'd been more willing to sign her over to surgeons for this irreversible transgender procedure. The suit claims one that did nothing to allay the young woman's fears or identity struggles. Nothing. Opening arguments presented to the state Supreme Court in February And near the end of June, Aldaco won her case. According to the justices, Texas law allows 2 years for the filing of an injury claim. Notice given 2 years of Aldaco's surgery. They reversed the Court of Appeals decision, leaving her free to sue Wood and Wood's employer. More significant, this Texas case makes it very clear that the timeline of a medical malpractice lawsuit does commence at the time the tort or injury occurred, but it can extend back to practitioners involved in the approved process. More and more, we're seeing the courts ruling very much in favor of letting these suits continue. And that's what's going to stop people. You know, I realize I'm going to have to do this way, and I don't like doing it this way, but I'm going to do it this way anyway. Where is that story? All right, we'll see if this one will work. I don't know. A Florida couple who have been embroiled in an embryo mix-up is going to keep their infant after reaching a custody agreement with the baby's biological parents. The more I read these, the more I'm not sure how to feel about them, because there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. Tiffany Score, Stephen Mills, sued the Fertility Center of Orlando and its lead reproductive endocrinologists in January after they learned their daughter, whom Score had given birth to a month earlier, was not genetically related to her or Mills. Score and Mills, both white, had undergone in vitro fertilization at the Longwood, Florida clinic and pursued genetic testing because their baby displayed the physical appearance of a racially non-Caucasian child. The best way I could describe that is by showing you a picture, and there you go. It doesn't really look much like that baby has any particular connection to either one of these two people involved in this. This testing revealed that the baby named Shea, S-H-E-A, was 100% South Asian, according to Scores and Mills' attorney. That suit then prompted a search for the couple whose embryo had been mistakenly implanted into Score, and in April, attorneys for Score and Mills announced that Shea's biological parents had been found. The names of the parents, identified in court documents as patient 004, have been kept confidential. In a court filing Friday, the attorneys wrote their clients and patient 004 had come to a mutually devised custody agreement that recognizes Score and Mills' rights as the permanent custodial parents of their daughter. No additional details were given. I understand why there are some women who are infertile and are completely unable to give birth and create life. I understand that. I understand on the other side of that equation, there are some men whose little workers don't do their little job, and they are also infertile, and so they are not able to reproduce. So I get the idea behind in vitro fertilization. But there is an argument to be made that there are so many children out there that need to be adopted, that would love a good set of parents. I know the basic human desire to have your DNA continue in a bloodline with, even if you have an egg implanted and fertilized by whoever and whatever and all, at least some part of one of the two parents' DNA is represented. Yeah, I get that. But honestly, adopt, okay? Adopt. All these kids languishing in homes who would give anything to be adopted and have a loving mom and dad is all the more reason to do exactly that. How about this one? Some YouTubers, 3 of them to be exact, helped bring down a $65 million multinational fraud ring. What? That is insane. Hang on a second. I'll get this story queued up and away we will go. These YouTubers. Unbelievable. Now, like you, I'm sure, I absolutely hate scammers. I really absolutely do. You've probably seen them trying to take action against those who don't know any better. Conniving types. They're here in the US, they're overseas, a lot of them in India, and they're using personal information to try to scam older citizens in a lot of cases out of, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're still at it, sending fake emails, placing phone calls in the hopes of trying to snag one more victim. But guess who's doing something about it? You won't believe this. YouTubers. Oh, yeah. Right here on YouTube, where we are live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Usually people run into YouTube channels, talk about controversial topics like we do here on this show, or maybe just do stupid things to try and build an audience. But there are 2 that have done something absolutely remarkable here. They've teamed up with government agencies to bring down a fraud ring that's been responsible for over $65 million in fraud. The YouTubers in question, Scammer Payback and Trilogy Media. Now, most of the time, they keep an eye open for scammers, try and catch them in the act. They've inspired a lot of other YouTuber channels to do the same stuff, stopping fraudsters before they can actually hurt real people. But according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, these 2 particular guys, Scammer Payback and Trilogy Media, uncovered the scheme, which has since led to convictions across the board. The report reveals that with the information from these 2 channels, 28 alleged members of a Chinese organized crime ring have been charged in 4 federal grand jury indictments. And these guys did not hold back against their victims. One was even a 97-year-old San Diego widow of a Holocaust survivor who, because of them, the scammers, lost her entire life savings. Hopefully she will find a way to get it back now that they've busted this ring wide open. But with the help of these 2 YouTubers, go guys, Homeland Security, FBI, IRS criminal carried out search and seizure warrants, which later on resulted in these arrests. This is such a good news story. The number of assets seized because of this, including luxury vehicles like a 2025 GMC Yukon Denali. Justice is being served. It sickens me that these fraudsters took innocent people's money, spent it on luxury items for themselves, including that widow and Holocaust survivor. She deserves far better than what she got. Not all heroes wear capes. Some of them have YouTube channels. Reminds me, some people still know the right way to go about using this stuff we call social media for the greater good. Usually that medium gets reserved for folks who have nothing better to do than complain and pass along their empty conspiracy theories in the hopes of hurting hardworking law enforcement, as of late, of course, ICE agents. But users like Pierogi, the folks at Trilogy Media, they are absolutely 1,000% bang up getting the job done. And they're not through, by the way. For that matter, neither are these federal government departments. They are determined to nail even more of these scammers. Keep up the work. Keep it up. Scammer Payback, Trilogy Media, your efforts, along with those that also fight back against these scammers. Absolutely tip of the hat, salute, highest attaboys. Check out their channels. Again, it is Scammer Payback and Trilogy Media. Stop these scammers, for crying out loud. Especially older Americans deserve a whole lot better. A whole lot better. Man, a Shevitz. Aye. What else we got cooking here? Hang on one quick second. Okay. One more. This is kind of a long video. I don't very often play these long videos, but this one's worth it. It's just 2 minutes, so it's not horribly long, but I love it. Back in 2013, a number of years ago, a girl named Yan Heng was walking across the beach when she discovered a stranded octopus on the shore. It was very weak. It was struggling to survive, struggling to even breathe. And what happened next is something that's hard to forget.
In 2013, a man helped a stranded octopus back to the water. And before it left, it did something that just might prove how intelligent these creatures really are. His name is Yan Heng, and he was exploring Cyrene Reef, a shallow reef near Singapore, when the tide began to slip away. As the water pulled back, it left an octopus stranded on the wet sand, caught out in the shallows with nowhere to go. He couldn't leave it there. So he carefully helped the little creature back toward the safety of the water and gave it time to recover. For a while the octopus lay still, slowly gathering its strength. Then it began to stir, its body steadying, its arms unfurling, life returning to it. Now here's what you'd expect to happen next. A wild octopus, freed and recovered, should dart straight off into the reef and vanish. They're shy, they're solitary, they don't linger around humans. But this one didn't leave right away. Instead, it moved toward him. It reached over to his left boot and gently laid one of its arms across his foot, and it rested there for some time, in no hurry to go. As if it simply wanted to stay a moment longer with the person who had saved it. The two of them stayed like that, a man and a wild octopus, joined by one soft, deliberate touch. And then, at last, the octopus lifted its arm, turned, and disappeared into the water. It's the kind of moment that stops you in your tracks, because octopuses are among the most intelligent animals in the entire ocean, capable of solving puzzles, recognizing faces, and far more aware than most people ever realize. So when one chooses to pause and reach out and rest a gentle arm on the person who helped it, it's very hard not to see it for exactly what it seems to be. A thank you.
We are all on this planet together. And the chances of us going anywhere anytime soon, in spite of what Elon may have plans for, seem pretty slim. So, little acts of kindness that get you right here, as Karen just said, oh my heart. Exactly right. Exactly right. Wow. I hope your week was great. Mine was okay. We're done for the day, and thank you for popping by. The weekend is here. Spend it with someone you love. And let's see, we'll be back Monday, 9 a.m. for the Monday edition of our little fiasco here we call the Jay Sheldon Show. Please, all those links in our description that's down below, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Rumble, they're right there for you, including a way to make a direct donation to help support the show, which is with a PayPal link top of the description there. And you could use your bank card or your bank account or whatever and just shoot us a little cash. We appreciate that. Sounds like I'm begging. I don't mean to beg. It's just that a lot of people want to support the show. They don't have any interest in buying from any of our sponsors. So I give you a way to do that. We appreciate it. And any amount really is very helpful. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. We'll see you on Monday.